Welcome to our BCS Practitioner Certificate in Requirements Engineering course. The objective of this course is to develop an understanding of several key areas. You'll learn how to collaborate with stakeholders to ensure requirements align with business objectives. We'll dive into eliciting different types of requirements and how to document them properly. Additionally, we'll explore how to analyze and validate these requirements, and how to manage requirement quality and change. The syllabus. This syllabus shows some of the topics we will cover in the entire course. Define the term requirements. Describe the requirements engineering framework. Explain factors to be considered in adapting the approach to requirements engineering. Describe the contents of a project initiation document, PID, terms of reference, TOR. Explain different knowledge types. Identify a technique to articulate tacit knowledge. Explain the use, advantages, and disadvantages of elicitation techniques. Identify an appropriate technique to elicit requirements. Discuss the suitability of elicitation techniques for agile and linear development approaches. Identify and describe the categories of requirement. Explain the importance of documentation. Identify the key documentation styles. Explain the characteristics documented for requirements in a requirements catalog. Explain the key underlying principles and standard format of a user story. Explain the rationale for modeling the functional requirements, processing, and data of an information system. Describe the purpose of modeling in requirements engineering. Prepare a UML use case diagram. Prepare a UML class diagram. Explain the use of CRUD matrix. Explain the use of prototyping to elaborate requirements. Describe the responsibilities of the actors' stakeholder roles in requirements engineering. Describe the purpose of requirements validation. Describe the rationale for various approaches to requirements validation. Demonstrate how agile requirements are validated. Demonstrate formal requirements validation. Explain the purpose of analyzing requirements. Apply the Moscow technique to prioritize requirements. Interpret individual requirements, applying filters and quality criteria. Identify the purposes of slicing requirements, agile or linear. Identify techniques used to analyze business rules. Explain the importance of testability. Describe techniques used to analyze roles. Explain the purpose of a customer journey map. Explain the rationale and the approach to achieving requirements traceability. Explain the rationale for requirements management. Define the elements of requirements management and the links between them. Explain the use of a change control process. Describe the elements of a version control process. Explain the use and advantages of different forms of traceability. The first topic we'll focus on today is the definition of requirements approach and project scope. That's key topic 1, defining a requirement. So how would you define a requirement? What is a requirement? The BCS 4th edition defines it as a feature that the business users need the new system, whether it's business or IT, to provide. On the other hand, the IEEE Standard Glossary 610 12 to 1990 defines a requirement as a condition or capability needed by a user to solve a problem or achieve an objective. It must be met by a system or system component to satisfy a contract, standard, specification, or other formally imposed document. Now, let's take a look at the requirements engineering framework. The diagram below shows the iterative nature of this framework. Requirements might need to be revisited and revised multiple times as new information comes to light. Requirements elicitation and requirements analysis are closely connected. As you gather more requirements, you'll need to analyze them, which may lead to even more elicitation. Requirements documentation sits at the center because it's an ongoing process that happens alongside elicitation, analysis, validation, and management. Requirements validation ensures that the documented requirements are always up to date and correct. Requirements management is a continuous process that ensures changes are tracked and managed effectively. This structured approach ensures that all requirements are thoroughly understood, documented, validated, and managed, ultimately leading to a successful project outcome. Rationale for requirements engineering. Why focus on requirements engineering? Well, it's all about defining the ideal characteristics of the product or service that will solve a business problem. Whatever solution the business adopts, the change must be measured and tracked through the project and back into business as usual. The diagram you're looking at now shows that requirements are central to successfully moving the business from its current state or as is to the future state, known as to be. Requirements aren't just related to a project. They reflect the overall needs of the business. They must be implemented in a way that supports the business and addresses the issues they were experiencing. Origin of requirements. Businesses are constantly changing, which is why requirements arise. They come from business changes, operational changes, business process changes, and strategic changes. For instance, imagine your business decides to launch a new product or has to comply with new regulations. That's where requirements come in. They support the needs of the business and are fundamental to successful change.